I'm Dajuan Johnson. Welcome to the Think Bigger Actors podcast, where I share with you different kinds of talks and coachings and conversations with actors and industry professionals on thinking bigger. I hope these conversations will help you on your path to success, because I believe success is an inside job that starts with your mindset and the thoughts you hold dominant in your mind. Change your thoughts and you change your world. Your path to thinking bigger begins now. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Actors podcast. I'm your host, Dajuan Johnson, and we got a special edition here. This you're about to listen to the live podcast I did in Arizona with Andrea Courtney, LA manager at established artist and casting director Bella Hibbs with Good Faith Casting. Yep, we sure did. I took this show on the road, y'all. I took the Think Bigger Actors podcast on the road. Which makes me think, where should I go next? Where are you listening from? Is it Chicago, Colorado, Atlanta, New York City? Where are you listening from? So here's what you can do. If you could go on Instagram and share this podcast, but when you share it, because it's going to be good and you're going to want to share it. When you share it, let me know where you're from. Just the state or the city would be really awesome. So, because I love doing the pod. So it feels only natural to do the Think Bigger Actors tour. One of the things that's hard about being a visionary or a dreamer, it's really focusing all of the dreams and visions to get them done. Because I can come up with ideas all the time, but I need somebody to help me put them into action, because I love doing that. So that they would never get done. They would never get done if I did it. For example, our Think Bigger Actors retreat, that was, it's coming up here in Los Angeles on August 9th, 10th, and 11th. That was a dream of mine, for the last 5 years. I actually knew I wanted to do it after going to my first Tony Robbins, what was it? I can't remember what it was called, but he had an event at a basketball stadium or arena back in 2017. And, it's actually one of those things that I was just like, I want to make happen. And it just takes, sometimes these dreams take a little bit of time to get done or to get them going, which is really interesting because, again, like I said, I'm a visionary and I love making things happen. But let me tell you a little bit about the Think Bigger Actors Retreat. Can I do that? Can I do that on the podcast? Because I'm calling in all the big dogs. I literally am calling all the big dogs in for this podcast retreat. And that's one of the things that you work when you work with somebody who's in the industry, who is a working actor, who is also an amazing coach, if I do say so myself, is I get to know people, I get to network people, and I live by the tenet that there are people out there in our industry that want to help us, that want to part wisdom or share with us. No, gone are the days where no, actors don't want to help each other, or I don't want to upset the higher up, whatever. None of that stuff. Ask and listen for the answer. So I'm going to tell you who I'm bringing in to this. I got Tom Bernardo, who is a showrunner for Bosch Legacy, to come in and talk to us. Yes, Tom Bernardo. If you ever wanted to be in the room with a showrunner of a network television show, I'm bringing him in. Come on. Want to know who else? I'll tell you who else. Natalie Ballestros, who is a casting director, casting exec level, coming in. Also does independent casting as well. She was on that thing when I got Narcos. When I cast Narcos, she was in that from that casting office. Come on. All right, who else? Raymond Lee. Series lead actor from Quantum Leap, #1 on the call sheet. Went from being in an acting class with this guy, you know what I mean? Acting class, and now series lead on the show. We're going to talk about that. What's it like leading a series? What's it like? All of that stuff that you want to bring to fruition. I want to make sure that I am helping you with the vision. I am helping you with this vision of how to get to your next level. Keenan Ferguson, who's also an actor and a TV director. Y'all, I'm calling up all the stops on this Think Bigger Actors Retreat. So you need to be in that room. I'm just telling you, you need to be in that room. So go to Think Bigger Actors Retreat, and I don't think you want to miss this one. The tickets are selling. We're going to be sold out. This is not a big event. I don't want you to think this is my first event, y'all. So I'm calling it all the stops so it could be amazing. #1 for my first event, but #2, I'm not trying to have 200-300 people in a room just yet because I want to see it work. And if you know anything about me, and I'm going to let it drop after this, but if you know anything about me, you want to get in on my beta versions of anything. And this isn't a beta version, this is a full thing. But when I'm doing things for the first time, that's when you're going to have the most attention and the most love. Well, it's always so much love. I can't say that. I'm lying on my podcast. Just get in the room. This is going to be so good. This is going to be so good. And of course, I'm going to be teaching at the podcast. I'm going to be going through mindset. I'm going to be going through craft and all that stuff like that. So make sure you get there. Make sure you get there. All right. So today's episode, I dive deep with Andrea Courtney, LA manager at Established Artists, and of course, a Bella Hibbs, casting director based in Arizona. But don't let the location fool you, because Bella cast all over. She's one of the hardest working casting directors and most positive, I should say, that I have, ever met. And I get to work with a lot of casting directors in Think Bigger coaching, and of course, as an actor as well. Bella and I, how did this come about? Bella and I had a conversation after my second year of being a part of her wonderful Southwest Actors Conference. And she said, I want to work more together. I want to do more together. Would you like to do something in the spring, just teaching wise? And I said, yes, please. And so we came up with the Reimagined Actor Experience, a full day of taking your actor training to the next level, up on its feet, getting work. And it was pretty amazing out in Arizona. I don't know if we're going to do it. We're going to offer it again, because I'm planning my in-person Think Bigger Actors Retreat, and Bella is planning the Southwest Actors Conference, both in August. But, by the way, let me just say, if you have not checked out that event, please take a second to go over to the southwestactorsconference.com, www.southwestactors.com. We're going to just say that again, the southwestactorsconference.com. I've spoken on her stage for 2 years now and attended the event, and she puts on a great event. I want to just say that up front. But, I don't know if we're going to do the Reimagined Actors thing again, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And, if I were you, I would make sure to get into the Think Big Actors Retreat and get into the Southwest Actors Conference, and we'll let you know about the Reimagined Actors Experience. But this podcast, live podcast you're about to hear, so good as well. And stick around for the D12 shot at the end while I bring it all together. I don't know why I'm whispering that. I don't know, guys. Just go with it. It's my podcast. Welcome to the Think Bigger Actors podcast. What's up, Andrea? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing so good. And it's good to see you again.
It's always great to see you, and it's great to be seen. We are doing a live version of this at the Reimagined Actor workshop. We are here, and thank you so much for just sitting and talking with us. We have a lot of great stuff to talk about.
Yes.
Are you nervous? Because you look like your eyes just said, don't look at my questions.
I'm not. Dajuan, I wear contact lenses, and if I took them off, I couldn't even tell if people were male or female, honestly. So I cannot see that far.
Right.
No, I'm not nervous at all.
Okay.
I'm actually excited because I feel like the industry right now is so different than, when was the conference? September?
Yeah, I think so.
And today it's a totally different industry.
Yeah.
So I love this.
Well, that's funny, because you said that you didn't see the first question, but the first question was, let's talk about the state of the industry right now, kind of like a State of the Union address. And I think that's really important, because let's take ourselves back for a little bit. Back in September, we were still in strike, right? And we were 2 months off before we were even going to be done with that.
Right.
So what's the State of the Union industry right now from what you're talking about?
So I'll rewind it a tiny bit more.
Okay.
Or just clarify. So we were in strike, but had lots of things going on with interim agreements. So there was things happening, right? But not in a normal capacity. Mm-hmm. So today, no strike, but it still feels a little bit like we're working an interim agreement territory. It's busy. And what I mean by that is there's breakdowns every single day, and there's really good stuff, but there's not enough to go around. I don't know what I'll.
Well, I mean, listen, I heard a collective sigh in the room of and we're so dramatic actors.
Yes.
When was there ever enough to go around, actors? Come on.
Yeah.
If you all are going to be my co-hosts. Continue.
Yes. Well, so I feel that like everybody came out of the strike motivated.
Yeah.
Like headshots were on par, profiles were polished really well. But on the flip side of the coin, I also feel like managers and agents also like we hit the ground running. We were like ready to go pitching and doing everything. So not having the amount of projects and work in the industry and also everybody coming in on their A game has made it more difficult, I think, overall. That's just my perspective from what I see. And also, you just collect, from what I can tell from my roster and people that I know, is also like guest star level. Even I have series regular level who are willing to do those co-stars now. So that also makes it more saturated a little bit. So that does sound a little bit like doom and gloom, and please don't take it as doom and gloom, because the industry literally, we said September to, are we in April? Oh my gosh. September to April, it's a different industry. And if we talk again at the conference in a few months, it's going to be a different industry again, and hopefully, with a much better forecast and outlook.
Yeah, so I hear you with that it's a difficult. Explain that word to me, because I'm going to harp on this. I think the perception of the degree of difficultness, if that's a word, is always something that we as actors can say we go up against all the time,
Yes.
right? And so I really don't want I want to hear what you mean by that.
What I mean by the industry is difficult right now.
Difficult. What is that?
It's difficult to get an audition.
Okay.
That is literally what's difficult. I'm a pitcher, so that's just kind of what I do. But I'm pitching really good, solid fits, and they're not getting the audition. And typically, it used to be that I would say if I pitch somebody, I had a really good return on my pitches, and I'm not even gonna tell you what my return is right now because it's not great. But I'm not concerned.
It's not you.
It's not me. No, it's not me.
Isn't that what we hear?
Yes. But I feel like it's not that I'm not getting the pitch now. It's that I'm continuing to keep my clients in front of that casting director.
Yeah.
So when things do loosen up a little bit, I've already done the work.
Yeah. I hear that. I guess I just want to say that from an actor's perspective, I understand about like keeping, in the game and like auditioning a lot, but I don't want to continue to audition for stuff that I can't get. So if you're pitching me and I'm getting in front of these things and this was never really mine to get, and the stuff I'm getting in, I really have a chance to book, then that feels better to me. I don't want to throw my hat in the ring a billion times, because what that did to me was it screwed up my psyche. It was like, now I'm like, I've got 100 chances to get in front of these people, and really only 99, one chance out of the 99. Listen, I'm an actor, I'm not good with math. Excuse you all for your calculators. They're like, All right, so here's a question I want to, let's take it back a little bit further. Like, you are with established artists as a manager.
Yes.
And, I want to, before I even ask any managerial questions, can we break this down to what is the difference between a manager and an agent? I know this, I think, but every time I ask people who this is their profession, they're like, no, Dajuan, that's not it. So,
and I'm not surprised that you get that response, because honestly, I think the answer to what an agent is pretty much in the box. But what a manager is can differ, and that's probably why you hear different things. So an agent is a licensed person whose job is simply to procure work and to negotiate contracts.
Right.
That's what an agent is. A manager, by virtue of the word, is to manage. So some managers don't pitch and submit. They don't even have access to the breakdowns or to casting networks or anything else. But I assume most managers do pitch and submit. I do. So I'm also trying to procure work. But instead of just doing the same exact thing that an agent does, because it would be silly to pay two agents, is literally every single client, we come up with a path and a plan and set that into motion based off what their goals are and what I'm capable of. Right. So sometimes the managing is literally building. We're developing. They don't have credits. we're taking them from literally ground zero to a one-line co-star, for example. And in other cases, they, have 45 IMDb credits and we're after that series regular. So what I do for that person on a daily basis is totally different for what I'm going to do for a client who is on that entry level process. So so a manager, to me, my definition of a manager is somebody who literally is formulating a path for a talent to get to their goal, implementing micro goals along the way. So, like I said, that looks different. And that's why I think you'll get different answers. And frankly speaking, we have amazing managers in our office and we all operate completely differently. None of us work the same.
So just to be clear, you all don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
You're like, we just are doing all it.
So I tend to be, I told you this before, I tend to be very analytical. So I feel like I know what I'm doing for sure. I think the difficult part is that when you put all the right steps into motion, it doesn't always yield that goal. And so that's where I think it can feel to an actor like nothing's working. And even to, on our side, because we feel the same disappointments, when our talent doesn't book something or, we don't get the audition, we feel that. So it can oftentimes feel like we don't know what the heck we're doing. But I think that's the beauty of this industry is if you keep doing, but if you just keep doing though, something's going to snag. It's just the way that it is.
The question I always used to get is like, when do you bring a manager onto your team? Or is it a good time to bring a manager? And I'll just say this, I get it asked a lot. My career, Dajuan Johnson's career changed when I brought a manager on my team. I will never not be without a manager. I think the specificity that the manager brought to my career. And it isn't like, oh, you don't have anything to manage. It wasn't that. It was just like, okay, great. We're going to do this. What do you think about this? And we started a synergy that was totally different. That I love agents, but I will not be without a manager and I didn't have anything. My manager started with like redlining my resume. You know what I mean? That is.
So that tells me that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing.
So you do know what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So and he or she did too. So and this is why. So it's interesting because sometimes I'll get talent who's like, "Well, I haven't got any auditions from you in 6 months," and I'm like, okay, but when you didn't have a manager, how many auditions did you get? And typically what will happen is when they do bring that manager on board, like what happened with you, you're going to see this change because I'm pitching behind your agent and I'm pushing for the talent behind the agent. Frankly speaking, I prefer the audition go to the agent. That's where it should go. That's technically where it should go. So even in some of my pitches, I will say like, so-and-so's repped by this, agency. I'm touting that agent. And so a lot of times it's like too much credit for the things that, you do right and not enough, enough credit, right? So I think a lot of times the measurement is how did your career change when you got a manager, not how many am I getting for you? Because technically that's not my job.
It's such a question or thing that people say when they're like, well, you're not getting auditions or I haven't gotten this many. And I just want to like say to all my actors out there that are listening to this, one of the things that I started to realize was like, don't do that, because I don't want an agent or manager to come up to me and be like, so these last 10 auditions, you didn't book these. So stop that. What happens is we let other actors get into our minds and they sabotage this relationship. It's like, great, how can we work together as a team? Synergies happened when I started really understanding that if I am the CEO of this team, how do we operate together? Team, not like, well, let me see your submission reports. Let me get out of here with that. Sorry, I don't know why I came into the mic. I love this. This is so fun. It's so fun. It's so fun. So go ahead.
So I'm going to use this analogy because usually I say this, and if you've seen me speak before, I've said it. But I speak in analogy a lot. So I always say like your agent is like your attorney. It's not necessarily the person you're going to call every single day. And your manager's your cheerleader and your bodyguard. And if you kind of keep that in your mind, that's also another like quick rule of thumb of what the difference is between an agent and a manager.
That's good.
Too, like you're going to call me and say like, which jacket should I wear for my headshots?
Yeah.
You probably aren't going to call your agent for that.
Yeah. I love also thinking about the relationships that the manager brings and the agent brings. And, you know, I had an agent that was like, why are you bringing on a manager right now? You don't have a career and all that stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not really good at math, but 0% of 0 is still 0.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I can, you know, 10x my relationships, and
absolutely.
it really makes a difference for that. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I guess I want to ask, since we are in Arizona, if you don't mind me just like digging a little bit, you know, you manage everywhere. You're not like just a specific, you manage everywhere. If you are in a market that I'm not that LA and, you know, New York are the big things anymore, but like if you're outside of those markets, is a manager good? Like, what would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, again,
because I don't know how they work outside of, you know, they work just the same way.
Just the same way.
Got it.
So I like to just say I'm an umbrella. So some of my clients live in Orlando, Johannesburg, Ghana, Canada, everywhere in between.
Really?
Yeah.
Ghana, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's international, y'all.
Yeah. So it's literally just what are you doing for that career?
Right.
Not for that region. We're not regional at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really good. So I got a question. I want to know that what is the real trajectory of an actor's career? Because I think if we allow ourselves to really look at the industry, it isn't anymore about going to show to show to show to show, or we're going to get this success and then it's going to be like, you know, one booking is going to be like, it's going to blaze the path for everything.
Yeah.
Like, how does that really work? Tell me from, you don't have to say any of your clients' names, you know, unless you want to.
Well, I used to, not so much anymore today, but I actually, I really enjoy developing clients and like taking them from, I just want to do this and see where it goes. I feel like I'm pretty good at it and I love it. But my kind of career has shifted a little bit where if I do that, I then take away from the ones I've already built to a certain level. And so I just don't have the bandwidth to do that necessarily. But if I go back and kind of reflect on how that looks, is sometimes it's the trajectory is that, you know, you've got to be willing to work. And sometimes it's not even for any money. Not that we would do that for a long period of time, but if it means that's the first step to getting a first credit, for example, or getting on set, just to see if you like it. Because I think some people don't realize what being on set is. It is not fun.
It is not.
It's not glamorous. It's horrid many, many times. So sometimes people will get on set and be like,
I'm gonna disagree with that.
Well, but unless you have like, you know, certain, I don't know if I can say their name, but there's this one catering company, AB Catering, shout out. If they're on set, then it's a joy. But I
just feel like there's art happening on set and there's beauty.
Well,
you're like the food. If it's not the catering.
I'm like for the food. I'm for the food. But here's the thing. There's art happening on set, but if they're like, here's your green room and you can sit in here and you don't even have access to the monitors and you're just like.
Right. Well, they're totally different.
Yeah. It can be really like not, it's not like fun unless you're actually in front of the camera.
Yeah.
The rest of it is boring.
So do you think though that these careers, I guess I just want to say like, development. I'm sorry, I have two questions here.
Sure.
They're all coming in. The first one is I want to actually go back and think about what do you consider development? Like what is that? And when are you out of that phase? Is that a fair thing to ask?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll come back to trajectory.
So like the true sense of development clients is I would say under 5 credits.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, that's my definition of development talent. And I would say development talent's probably no network credits, even if they have 10 credits.
Yeah.
You know, like they can have a lot of short films or indies, but if there's no network credits, is really tough.
And then when do you get to that place where you, and again, everybody, this isn't like, we're gonna come back and be like, well, Andrea Courtney said this is when I got out of this phase.
Exactly.
Right. We're not, this is just your, but I want to know kind of like, just like a litmus, like where are we when you're out of that development?
Well, I would say 2 to 3 network credits.
Okay.
Because then we've got something that we can really pitch,
Okay.
right? Or the other thing is like booking something that it could be an indie, it could be a short film, but that has some sort of momentum. So it premieres at Toronto International Film Festival, South by Southwest, Tribeca, something like that. We just have to have something with teeth.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah.
Now, with all of that said, here's the thing. Literally have had talent go from no credits to a top of show guest star.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just because that's kind of like how it feels on paper, we're constantly scratching stuff off the paper and scribbling and putting arrow. It just doesn't always work like this. And again, I think this is why I love the industry so much, is because it's different every single day. The rules are all constantly broken. We're bending them. I'm always trying to break a record myself. Like every day, it's like, you've got to see this person. Yes, their resume is thin, but they're perfect for it.
Yeah.
So sometimes, that's our challenge. That's a win, is when we can get like a casting director to be like, okay, I see what you see. Let's give them a shot. And we get the audition.
Yeah. And when that shot comes around, everybody, like, this is why you need to be training before that. Because when that shot, when your team has pitched you, when your team has, killed a favor almost, in a sense, and I hate to say it that way, but when you've killed the favor with that casting director and you get in there and you crap the bed, like, it's not just you that loses that relationship. Like they're not going to trust you.
That's right.
Anymore. And so it is dire. Like that whole saying, we all say it because it's like a cool thing, stay ready, you might have to get ready, and then all that stuff, we say it at the thing, but it is so incredibly serious.
Yeah.
About
not
that.
just the acting part, but stay ready that, you've got to be prepared to get your tapes in on time. You have to get them, in where you can hear yourself, you can see yourself. Like all of that stuff is part of being ready, not just being able to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So then my question is, what's an ideal client for you? Like, if I stop looking at me, I know, I get it. Like, no, but like, what's an ideal client? There used to be a point in my career where I felt like I had to stay in constant contact with my manager, or I had to, if like I went too long, I got like, hey, I'm still here and all that stuff. And so I no longer feel that. But
you wouldn't have that problem with me, because I'm known as the one who talks to my clients way too much. So that's not an issue. With my
should we work together? Is that what you're saying?
I guess so. I think the philosophy for me is, if I don't know what's going on in your life, I can't manage you. Like, that's how I feel personally. So it kind of is a problem for me if I, like my clients like posting on Instagram, like, oh, I'm in Hawaii. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were booked out. Like those sorts of things. Like I just want, so the ideal client for me is one that comes into that relationship really trusting me to do my job, and understanding that I'm literally taking your career in my hand, and I value that and covet it. And I just want to be given all the tools I need to do my job successfully. Now, and then the other part of an ideal client for me now is that I really enjoy working with people who can't do anything else. Like, this is in their blood. Mm-hmm. They want it for the art. As you said, there's art happening on set, right? And I feel like I'm much better now at differentiating between a client who is looking for the red carpet and the Getty image and that sort of thing, versus they just want to make art. Yeah. So I tend to do better with talent that is in it for that reason.
Yeah. Well, I want to be clear about something, because that's a very interesting point. And I think a younger Dajuan would have taken that as, I can't do anything outside of the industry, meaning that I can't have an outside job. I can't, support myself as I was a bartender, or I can't, go out there and create the next kind bar or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that is what you're saying, because that's not the way
we all have a side hustle, including myself.
I want to make
can't afford to do this job without having another source of income.
Great.
So no, what I mean by that is, obviously, I don't know anybody, even people who have been series regulars, that are doing acting full time as their main source of income.
Say that one more time. Say it one more time.
Multiple streams of income.
Yes.
It's necessary, and there's nothing wrong
Rich
with that.
people do this. Diversify their income.
That's exactly
and so
what
why
people
are
do, yeah.
let's hold up.
Yeah. Yes. We'll do a whole podcast about that.
Well, because I think the thing, if you ask actors, they're like, I just want to make my living off of acting.
Yes.
And the thing is, if you look at even the biggest stars out there who are directing, they have vodka companies, they have restaurants, they have NASCAR stuff. They're not doing it the way you think they're doing it.
Right, exactly.
It's just not sustainable like that. And so what we need to get rid of that dream that we thought it was. And so I just wanted to make sure we said that, because I think a lot of us actors, the younger versions of us, me, I'm talked about myself, thought it was something different,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that they're not doing the acting for the fame game, right? That's the reason that they want.
Right.
And I think, again, as I've grown and kind of evolved as a manager, I kind of can sense that immediately.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to work out when it's just not a fit for me. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, it's just not a fit.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really important to ask you is, about the business and how much of a business this is. We were having a conversation that at this particular moment, I've talked about this on the podcast for a little bit, my agency imploded, right? Out in, this is the words in Deadline. Don't anybody come for me in my DMs.
Yeah.
Deadline said it did that, right? And, I was explaining to you that during this time, before I went with this agency, I had the opportunity to go with one of the big fives.
Right.
It was one of the big five agencies wanted to work with me, or this agency. It was just two places. And I chose this one because it was like the hip thing. Yeah. And, one of the things that I don't think we realize is how much of a business this is, because now here we are 5 years later and that place imploded and I'm trying to go back to the big five. They're like, you're not hot anymore. Yeah. And it's like, you're like, but I'm what? What does that mean? Like, I'm still me. I'm just DJ from the block.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think it's so important. And if I could take that personally, again, a younger Dajuan would have taken that personally. But what I understand now is this is a business. How much of this is what you, am I seeing this wrong?
100% of it is a business.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day. I don't care if you have a lemonade stand at the corner. There still has to be a path and a plan, and you're going to make decisions like which sugar am I going to put in the drink and which cups am I going to serve it. All of it is a business. And so every single decision that you make should be treated as a business decision instead of what's going to make me more popular, or that's maybe not the right way to say it. But I do think that people
emotional decisions too.
Emotional decisions, and they make decisions that they maybe know are not the best decision for them.
Wait, are you coming for me on my podcast?
No. You know what? I've personally made decisions in my management that I knew I shouldn't have. Yeah. And every single time they've come back to bite me in the butt. So I think that's why I'm a little bit more confident and really selective today, just because I have taken many clients from kind of that developmental phase to we're ready for series regular.
Right.
And so I feel like I owe it to them.
It's almost like a stock market. It's almost like a stock market, the business. Like if one moment you're up at this thing and they're trading at this, this value. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, nah, I don't want Roblox anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Interesting. That is interesting. Well, I love talking to you. I could talk to you. I can go in on this for so long. I'm going to pop over to some of the audience questions real quick and get some of those in. And then we are going to land these planes for it. We have one is from Maryland. I want to make sure. When is the best time for an actor to add a manager to their team? And I think we kind of covered it a little bit, but
we did, but I'll add to it because, I think that sometimes people have a manager before they have an agent, and that can be a really beautiful thing. To me, if you have a rep, agent, or manager that's willing to work with you, work with them. You don't have to go in a certain order. I have on my roster now, because of the implosion and other things, people who don't have an agent. And part of my job as a manager is to help you find an agent. If you don't have one, that's part of your particular path. And for those people who have agents, sometimes it's a matter of like pushing the agent to pitch a little bit more, or in some cases they've outgrown their agent and we're looking for new representation or whatever. So there isn't a wrong way to do it. So you add a manager when you have something to manage. And sometimes what you have to manage is drumming up something.
That's cute.
And that's okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Because it's not just credits. It's like...
It's not just credits.
Great.
No.
I like that. And that Carly had the same question for that. But Salsa has one is like, how could a manager help someone who has had commercial success move into theatrical work?
I love that, actually.
Oh, that's a great one, huh?
Yes, actually,
Where's
theater
Salsa?
and commercial. Yeah. So commercial work is actually really hard. It's not easy. And so if you have a lot of commercial success, then it's easier to translate that into TV and film than to go TV and film into commercial, I think. So if you have a lot of commercial credits, particularly in a region like Arizona, honestly, then that is actually valuable.
Yeah.
And then what was the second part of that?
That was just like, how do you move into like using your commercial success into theatrical work? So
Well, if you're doing it on your own, then I think obviously you stay in class. You kind of differentiate what you need to shift from commercial. But I think how you utilize that is
with the manager.
If you have a manager, then your manager should be doing it. And essentially what we would be doing is saying, like, this is one of our top commercial booking talent.
Okay.
They're on set. They have a lot of set experience, whatever the case may be. But we're utilizing all that resume to then get an opportunity in TV and film.
Would you get like a reel together so they can like...
I wouldn't submit a commercial reel for TV and film, no.
Excellent.
But self-tape clips or, self-produced clips.
Yeah.
Because you're, again, probably will be like a one-liner or something along those lines. But I think that's much easier than not having any credits or anything on your resume.
I love that.
And also theater. I love a theater client.
Who doesn't love a theater client?
Oh my gosh, that's like...
I mean, it's something. You spell theater R-E, right? Like, as we land this plane here in Arizona, I just want to say, is there anything that you would like to just leave us with? Like maybe you started with such doom and gloom about the industry.
No, felt a little doomy and gloomy.
I would just really like if there's like a little nugget, a little something you can say, something nice to.
So let me ask. So here's the thing. Like I said, the silver lining to that, I'm going to repeat, is that the industry is this today, and we're asking what it is today. Yeah. It's going to be different in a few months, and then a few months after that, and a few months after that. I think so I'll leave with two little nuggets. Mm-hmm. The first is that don't sit and do nothing during this time, because it's the people who are sharpening now and that are going to be ready. You're going to be able to catapult yourself forward with an agent, with a manager, or without. That is how it should be. The other thing too is I'm assuming everybody's kind of Arizona based for the most part. So the other thing too is that you guys are very, very lucky, because you're literally at the birthing stage of an industry that can implode very, very quickly.
Not can, will.
It will.
It will.
absolutely
New Mexico,
will.
Oklahoma, I've seen it in those spaces.
They don't make, I don't know what the number is, $20 million, or maybe it was $50 million studios without foresight. They're not doing that, and there's two of them. So you're also in an industry where you don't have to be like heavily credited in Arizona specifically, right? Yeah. So I think that it's important to be aware of that. You don't have to look at your career and compare it to LA or New York or Atlanta. Yeah. You have a big opportunity here in Arizona.
I love it. Yeah. Great way to end. See? Brought it all the way around. Thank you. Thank you. You're gonna stick around for a little bit, right? You're gonna stick around. I'm gonna have Bella come up here. I got a couple questions for her, and then we'll trade places,
we will
all the phones and stuff like that. How was that, everybody? As Bella's sitting down, yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good. I have some really great stuff that I hope you all have some questions for. Hey, Bella, when'd you get here?
You know, I've been very blessed to hear you and Andrea speak before, and I always learn new things. And I think that's so important to hold space for, because I've been doing this a long time, and it's really easy to, oh, she's a casting director, she's doing all these amazing things. And I mean, you can put me on a pedestal, I guess,
Yeah, we can do it.
but I'm still learning things. Like, I love the analogies. Like, I don't know, my brain clicks like that. So such a great conversation to kind of jump in and continue.
Yeah. You know, I want to just like, I'm going to come in hot, right? Because
let's do it.
You know, you have a huge conference and you're doing workshops. You're really, I'm going to just be honest, championing actors a lot, right? And I guess my question, because I don't know the full answer to this, is I want to know, like, why an actors conference? Why not just like stay behind what we actors sometimes say, your gated community? Like, and I mean by that, because everybody says they're the gatekeepers, but you're not. Like, you know, like, why an actors conference?
You know, I have a lot on my plate, and I was like, I'm going to do an actors conference. I know, right? But I think it's so important. I used to have a belief that it was lonely at the top. And I accepted that. I was like, you know, as I grow in my success, it's just going to be lonely. And I realized that that was a belief that I was telling myself. It didn't have to be that way. Yeah. I see actors, their mindset trying to kind of maybe potentially sabotage someone they perceive as competition, or try to gatekeep information. I don't want to share who I'm repped with or what audition I did, whatever it is, out of fear. Yeah. And so once I realized that it doesn't have to be lonely at the top, that we can have a community of people surrounding us, supporting us, and uplifting us, then guess what? This industry becomes fun.
Yeah.
Because if it's lonely, it's boring. Like, I don't want to be alone at the top. I want to be with people who want to uplift me or help somebody. And so that was a big component. But then the education aspect. Yeah. Especially as casting, and I'm working with so many actors and doing auditions, I'm like, oh gosh, if they just knew X or just knew Y, they'd be so much better off. And so I wanted to still make it educational, bringing in obviously amazing coaches, Dajuan Johnson, and teaching topics from a place that they are really good at what they do. One of my big thing with all of our speakers and teachers is they need to practice what they preach. Yeah. You can sit up and say, well, do this, do that, and then I look at your IMDb and you've never been on a film set. How can you teach film auditioning or scene study? It's not fair to the actor. So I do vet our speakers, because I want to know that they still have passion for the industry, that they still love what they do. I think a lot of people during COVID realized, what am I doing this for? Yeah. When things slowed down and we had a moment to think to ourselves, we realized, why am I still doing this? And I think there's just a lot of people in the industry that don't know any better. So they keep doing it, but they don't have a passion or a love for it. So really merging those two worlds of bringing together a community and then the education aspect, that just makes people more unstoppable.
I love that. And, I talk a lot about this, training with people that work. It's important to train with actors that work, or coaches or people that work, that aren't just sitting in there. You know, there was this big thing about like people like, you don't have to cry in auditions, or you don't have to cry and do all these things. And I was like, listen, you can listen to people that say this out on TikTok or out on the things. They're like, don't do all this stuff in auditions. But the problem with that is when we get to set and the directors, the executive producers are on set and they're like, we need more tears, what are you going to say? Well, on TikTok, I heard that I didn't have to do that. I have been in that position where I have talked about this on my podcast, where Debbie Allen was in front of me and was like, we just need a little bit more from you there. And I was like, great, I'll do it. It's not like, oh, well, no. So you work with people who are on set, that are working in today's market, not even like 50 years ago. So I love hearing that. That is really, really, really great for that. All right. I'm gonna ask you some questions. I got a couple of them. It's okay. We're going hot. Look, these are going. All right, you want to start here? How much of the premium services on casting platforms do you think actors need to invest in, if at all? You know, reps are telling us to stop giving up our money to premium memberships like those offered on casting networks. What does casting see? What do you see? Tell us more. I'm gonna, before you even say anything, reps are telling us to stop giving up our money. I think. Dana. Hi, Dana. I think this is also, I want to hear what you have to say about this, Bella. But as I read this, if your reps are telling you to not do and you don't need it, like they're the people that are pitching you all the time. And if you don't need it, don't need it. I would say that's just coming from me. Unless somebody's like, you must have this thing. No, if your people are telling you don't worry about it, don't spend the money. It's kind of like me. I'm not a lazy actor. I'm not at all. But if they don't tell me I need to do a slate, guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to they're like, should I send 2 or 3? No, I'm going to send 1 take, my best take, and I'm going to send no slate because they might have it. So let's if you, I don't know you, but I know you asked that question, and please jump in there for it. But you said my reps are telling me to stop giving it. It goes back to the team. Do we trust this team or do we not trust this team?
Yeah, it's so true. It kind of answers the own question. Be strategic with the sites because there are a lot of them. Personally, I would say sign up for Actors Access, sign up for casting networks. Depending on where your career takes you and moves you, you might maybe drop one or the other. If you're not seeing hey, I'm not really even getting any auditions through this site, then don't pay for it. I have always, I guess maybe looking back now, created more work for myself. But with our auditions and self-tapes, there's always been an option to send it in directly to casting. So it will say, preferred upload to EcoCast Live, or you can send it through WeTransfer to this email address. So I've always given both options because guess what? Technology, it's got a mind of its own. When you go to upload it, it's not going to work and you don't want to get it in late. So I've always given that option. If you have a rep, that's even better because then you can say, hey, rep, here's my tape. Can you please send it to casting? That's part of their job to do it. So be strategic. Don't feel like you have to go spend a ton of money. You can start with the free profile and use that as far as it can get you. But eventually you will have to upgrade and pay. That's just the industry, which is great because back in the way back day, days I don't even know about, you had to print books and get really high quality binders that you would truck across town, click, clack, clack. And here's my portfolio.
I support what Bella's saying here, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm frugal, y'all. And at the premium thing where it says that we have you upload and you're getting close to your maximum, start deleting stuff. They've already seen that stuff. They've already, if it's a week or 2 later, your casting director they're done. And if they haven't, we missed it. Do you know what I mean? Seriously, at some point we gotta take, my word of the year is agency. We got to take agency over our careers and stop turning this over stop. Do you want to pay the 20 extra bucks? If the answer is no, start deleting stuff. For you as a casting director, how does your I'm so real about this.
That's what they need to hear, though.
I'm so real about it because you know what? At the end of the day, I think I'd rather spend my money on other things, and if you really think about the storage, it's just sitting there. We can delete some of this stuff and we can go on. And anybody's team any team I've ever been on, I've had a lot of agents and managers, they work with you. They work with you. Nobody's I don't know, you guys can tell me different when we're not recording. All right, another question. For you as a casting director, how does your communication and relationship to managers differ from agents? Do you work with one more than the other?
That's actually, I would say, market specific. When it's in LA, we work with a bunch of managers. I personally love when managers pitch to me because we do get easily 5,000 submissions for a role, and there could be someone who's great that I miss over after a certain amount of hours. It just all blends together. And so when a manager can follow up with a pitch, it's a little photo, the big project that they just came off of or whatever is in that pitch. It's just easy, quick to digest. And a lot of times if a manager is taking the time to pitch to me, not always, but 9 times out of 10, I probably will give them an audition because they took the time to craft a pitch and send it to me. There are definitely some managers that I work with a lot that we have a good relationship. So they'll be very honest, say, hey, this person only maybe has a co-star, but they're really good. They have something special. It's really worth seeing. I'm more likely to take a chance because I have that relationship. In regional markets, so not LA or New York, basically every other state, we're working with agents and having a good relationship. And it's really important to have a good relationship with casting because I'm only one person. I can only do so much. So I really rely on the agents that they are vetting talent when they're signing them, making sure that they're appropriately submitting them for certain roles. I don't know people's age, so I'm going to trust that the agent is submitting appropriately. So that's where that trust, there's trust on both sides, but definitely with the agents, I need a lot of it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I got a couple questions, and then we're going to land this plane. How we doing out there?
Yeah.
This is so fun.
It's nice to interact. I'm like, yeah.
Can we just like, we have a little bit of money. Can we just throw it at Johnny and them and tell, we're going to be here all night. We're going to be here all night long. No, this is so great. You all can tell. I love doing this. This is so fun. All right. So for theatrical auditions, do you generally see actors doing too much or not enough? And, and I guess we're going to venture into the last two questions are about self-tapes and, and all that stuff. And I've got some ideas. And some thoughts on this. Do you generally see actors doing too much or not enough? Go, Bella.
Yeah, that's a really good. These are great questions because I would say about 80% of the time it's not enough. It is. And there's been a school of thought and there's been teachers out there that just do nothing. And it has beaten them down. So we're actors in the audition literally don't do anything. And what happens is they're saying lines. That's great. Guess what everyone else is doing? Also saying the exact same lines. So it gets really boring really fast if you're just doing nothing. Now on the flip side, because it's always like the extremes, then you will see the people coming in doing way too much. Right. They are wardrobe-wise, they're way overdressed. That comes off really cheesy and corny. There's a lot of movement, which I'm not saying don't move. The movement has to be intentional. It's a lot for us as the viewer to watch. It's like we're hearing and we're seeing, and it's just an overload on our brains that it just becomes too much. So you do have to find that happy medium. I don't want to say just stand there and do nothing because that's not going to get you anywhere. But at the same time, there has to be that happy medium of having a visual presentation in your audition, but not going so overboard that it just comes off cheesy. So if you have kids or a roommate, kids are actually better judges because they're just brutally honest. Have them watch your self-tape. And if they go, okay, Mom, that's cringe. Oh God, no, immediately no. Then that's a good indication. They're telling you honest feedback, and they might not even be in the industry to know what a good audition looks like, but they'll be able to sense it. So put them kids to work.
I disagree with that only because my kids don't like anything I do. They don't like Bosch. They don't believe it. They like that. It just I'm not getting those guys. They're not getting under my skin.
Okay, ask your neighbor.
No, that's
the
good.
one you like.
I know it's so good. I guess what I would love to add to that from an actor's perspective, and really from an actor's perspective, is I think we as actors, we take any note to the extreme. We want to beat it in the ground because we finally got a nugget to hold on to, and then we're like, this is the thing that's gonna book me. So they said do nothing, so I'm gonna do nothing. No, what they mean is think about yourself on a 17-foot silver screen. And if you are continuing to move and rock, are people gonna get motion sickness from that? What that means is I still want you to have a tornado of stuff going on inside. Right now, you all are thinking so much. You're like, whatever I'm saying or you're receiving, you're thinking a lot about it, but you're not moving. Your eyes are moving. That's what we want to see. All of that stuff that's happening in those scenes, that's what we want to bring, and it just needs to be a little eye movement. That is what we do while we're saying don't do too much, but we take it and we're like, don't move. Remember, I've said this before and I'll say this again tomorrow when we're talking about the Reimagined experience, is it's stillness, not stiffness.
That should be on a
And
t-shirt.
what people keep doing is stiffness. They keep saying, well, you told me not to move as a robot. That is not what we said. We said, get rid of extraneous movement. No, move. The last part of everything should be put life back into all of this. Breathe life back into everything. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, but I'm not going to get into it.
I mean, and it's so good. And again, that should be on a t-shirt. I love that. Because the thing is, the movement especially is I think a lot of casting directors, when they maybe give a note, they're like, okay, just we don't need all that. Just stand there and do it. It's because they don't have the time to tell you what to do. So it's just get rid of it. And it's really not their job. At the end of the day, we have clients to answer to. So there is an aspect of when you come into the audition, you kind of have to hit some beats. Yes, we will give you maybe a redirect. Sometimes you don't get one. But if your movement is distracting, that's a problem. If we're looking at your hands going back and forth, or you're holding something and we're not concentrating on your acting, then it's a distraction.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. You know, as we get ready to land this plane, and I was just talking to, Andrea Courtney, and talking about just leaving us with a little bit of hope, leaving us with something to just walk out of here with. You think you got it? You got something for us? Like it's something. I'm putting you on the spot here for it. So.
Oh, I love that. If you've followed any of my videos or content online or seen me speak in person, you hear me say everything you want is on the other side of consistency. I live and breathe that quote. I probably tell myself that quote a little too much, but that is what gets me through. And at a recent kind of journaling experience, I realized, what is it about this quote that really helps me sometimes get out of bed, sometimes like helps me do the hard things. And for me, it was hope. I was like, okay, if I do these things, there is hope that I will get where I want to go, or I'll get the success or whatever it is. But hope is only going to get you so far. We need to also take action. And so hope is there to motivate us, but we have to take action. And so part of that is recognizing where are you letting fear prevent you from taking action? Yeah. And I recently learned this. For me, perfectionism. I thought, I'm just being a great business owner. I have to obsess over this email for 2 weeks before I send it because I'm an amazing business owner. That's why. No, fear was paralyzing me from just sending the damn email and getting the answer that I want. And so for actors, you need to realize that where is fear showing up in your life and stopping you from taking action? Because you hear me all the time, take action, messy, scrappy, do it, just do it. And you're like, yeah, that's great. But then we have these internal triggers or just life that holds us back. And so once you know, okay, perfectionism's creeping in, Bella, send the email. Schedule send is also my best hack now, because then I'm like, oh yeah, I did send it. So figure out, where is fear holding you back? I see a lot of actors, I need to come up with a better name from this, but it's if this, then that. Oh, well, once I get an agent, then I'll update my headshots. Oh, well, once I book theatrical work, then I'll get into a scene study class. And it's just very opposite thinking. And I see a lot of actors fall into that. And I do think that's fear stopping them because it's easy. Oh, well, I can't do anything because I don't have an agent right now. Yeah. I can't do it. So figuring out where fear is showing up, stopping you from taking action. And one of my favorite motivational speakers, Jen Gottlieb, she has a book called Be Seen. She has a whole chapter on fear. She's got 6 different ones, and figuring out where is that fear stopping you. And then you just got to put it in the passenger seat and take control and drive the car, because you are meant to do something. There's a reason that all of you showed up here today. There's a reason that you are listening to this podcast right now, and you needed to hear something that Dajuan or myself or Andrea talked about. And so we have to just be really conscious of that, of where is fear stopping me from taking that crazy massive action, because we know everything we want is on the other side of consistency. So you just got to do it.
I love that. And I just want to say and add to it, thank you, Bella, for being here. We're going to have so much fun this weekend. And that I might misspeak on this, and I'm going to apologize, but I honestly just want to say that I don't think that anybody in any of quote unquote the major markets thinks of any other market as less than. I think that sometimes I hear it in the other markets here, and I think that that's only, as if you perpetuate that, that's here for you all. And you guys are just as amazing as any other actor out there. And you're living cheaper than us. Much cheaper. And I just want to say that. I want to say that I think you all are amazing. I love watching your work. I love seeing you all do great work. And don't let anybody tell you that just because you're not living in Los Angeles paying $1 million for a 1-bedroom. I'm not bitter that it's any different. So thank you so much, Bella. I cannot thank you for your audition trackers. Thank you for your conferences that you have, all in the fall every year. Thank you for bringing all of us together, because honestly, this all wouldn't happen if it weren't for you. So thank you for that.
Aww.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here, and we're gonna hang around, and if you're on the podcast, stick around for the D12 shot where I bring it all together.
Hey, Steve, you want to do a photo?
Yes. Oh, yes. Let's do a photo. Smile, everybody. Get in here. Let's see. We're gonna see.
You know what?
I forgot my thing too. What? Oh, go ahead. What back to?
like we might stand.
We're gonna have to do the thing. We're gonna have to do the thing. We're gonna have to do the thing. We're gonna have to. Sorry. How was that? Woo! Okay, all right.
Oh, told ya. Told you it was a good podcast. Told you. I'm going to go back to this do less note because I've been talking about it for a while. I've been talking about it for years, actually, but I really thought I wrapped it up really great. You know, the do less note. You ever got that note before? Do less. This has been tripping actors up for a minute, like a long, hot minute. I get actors that really want to fight me, like want to catch me outside. How about that? Kind of fight me when I used to give this note. And it's like, you just told me to stop moving, shifting around, looking all over the place, but now you're telling me to have life? Which is it, Dajuan? Okay, pull up a chair. It's both. It always has been. I want you to get rid of all that extraneous movement, but I want you to feel like a three-dimensional person, a three-dimensional character as well. I want you to trim the fat, get rid of all the movement that is simply not needed. You know, if you stop and really dive deep into your characters, you would see all of this isn't necessary. Don't believe me? Watch TV. Like, really watch it. Watch how much your faves, your favorite actors are really moving. Look for the life and the extraneous movement. Turn off the sound on the TV. Play with it on mute and watch them. It's different. Here's a little hint. Watch some of the people on Shogun. Watch some of the actors on Game of Thrones or The Gentleman from Netflix or Sugar. Anything, really. Watch how much they're not moving. But they still have life. They still have life. Try it and see what happens. And come back here and talk to me about it. Post it on Instagram. Dajuan, you were right. I mean, you can say I was wrong. It's okay. There's a reason one tiny shift can screw up someone's coverage too, as well. That, you know, that shot that's dirty over the shoulder, there's a reason it's called stillness, not stiffness. And all the coaches and teachers out there that are teaching otherwise, I'm not going to talk to. I'm not going to get into that. But they are not working on sets. I'm not trying to come for anybody. I don't have time for that. I'm just trying to keep it 100% real from someone who works. But I don't want you to focus on not moving while you're performing. I would rather you just be totally in your character, in that world. I just want you to know it is stillness, not stiffness. Do the work. Do the work. If you do it while you're standing in the checkout line at the grocery store, if you do it while you're pumping gas, practice stillness. It will become second nature to you. And then you won't have to worry about it when you're performing. I know. Kind of a different D12 shot. I'm trying something new, guys. I'm trying something new. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. And just remember this. Don't quit. Don't get out of line. Borrow my faith in you. Because I'm rooting for you so hard. And above all, hold the vision. Not the circumstance you're in right now, but you. No, your career, your life, your dreams, your vision is bigger than just this moment. And know that I love you so big.